Good morning and welcome to Chess League. Round number 3 has given us plenty of interesting games. As usually, I have selected 2 of them for review. They will show you how rich and diverse the game of chess can be. Today, we will look at some elements of chess strategy and tactics. We will also find out how basic knowledge of common endgame patterns can significantly boost your results. First game, Iker versus Aaron. White played d4, black responded with d5, queen's gambit, very solid and calm opening. Knight to f3, knight to f6, c4, c6, that has been played many times before, bishop to g5, e6, e3, h6, attacking the bishop on g5, bishop went to h4, knight to d7, good move, knight to c3, developing the knight onto c3, bishop to b4. Now that's the first inaccuracy from black. Bishop should go to e7 in this structure. Instead, bishop to b4, queen to b3, straight away attacking the bishop. Black played a5, defending the bishop on b4, a3, attacking the bishop again on b4, bishop takes c3. Now that's already a serious strategic mistake from black. In that position, by far, black should have played back bishop to e7. After bishop took on c3, black have no more dark square bishop, which means that all dark squares in black position are now weak. Queen takes c3, knight went to b6, c5, closing up the position, knight bd7. Now a very logical move here from white, bishop to d3, developing the bishop and preparing castling. b6, trying to attack the pawn on c5, c takes b6. Now black decided to take with the knight on b6, which is a mistake. In fact, it's a blunder. You see, after b6 move, the pawn on c6 is not defended anymore, and potentially it can be attacked by white's queen on c3. So what happened here? After c takes b6, black should have played queen takes b6, defending the c6 pawn with the queen. Instead, they played knight takes b6, leaving c6 pawn undefended. And of course, white captured the pawn on c6 with a check. Bishop d7, defending from a check. Queen went back to c2. Rook c8, good move, putting a rook onto open file and attacking the queen at the same time. Queen to e2. Knight to c4, activating the knight. Very well done. White castled. And here black decided to play bishop b5, which is a serious blunder. Aaron, I think during your training sessions you need to spend some time doing chess puzzles, specifically double attacks and pins. They would help you to avoid many of the troubles you've had in this game. You see now how all these pieces lined up on one diagonal. And of course, bishop on b5 is not defended. After white played b3, the knight on c4 is now attacked. It needs to move, leaving the bishop on b5 attacked by bishop on d3 and queen on e2. Knight to d6, bishop takes b5, knight takes b5, and now queen takes b5, and whites are already a piece up. Into f8, black has losing position now, rook to c1, putting a rook onto an open file and suggesting a trade. It's always good to trade pieces when you are up materially. Rook to b8, attacking the queen on b5. Queen went back to d3, g5, bishop to g3, attacking the rook on b8. And now black played rook to b6. And again, absolutely the same thing. You see how these pieces lined up on one diagonal. And of course, having a dark square bishop, white played bishop to c7, attacking the rook on b6 and the queen on d8 at the same time, winning one of these pieces and basically winning the game. Black resigned here. Second game, Anthony versus Anushka. White played e4, followed by e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to c5, bishop to c4, bishop to c5. Italian game played by white. Very nice, solid, and usually calm opening, unless white prefer to play b4 here, which is Evans' gambit, very sharp line. White played d3, black played d6, white played h3, preventing bishop to g4, bishop e6, bishop to b3, queen to e7. Now usually in this position black play knight to f6 and then castling. Queen to e7, bishop takes e6, queen takes e6, f takes e6 was also an option for black. Queen takes e6, knight to c3, castling queenside. Now that's a bit unusual for Italian game. Usually in the Italian game, black and white castle kingside. Queen to e2, f6. I think black should have played probably knight to f6. They prefer to play f6, putting the knight onto e7, bishop e3, knight to e7, bishop takes c5, d takes c5. Now please have a look at this position. Clearly you can already see that black have very strong square for the knight. So this knight can go to d4 and that would be a perfect position for the knight. Central square, very well protected, very nice position. Castle queenside, and of course knight to d4, queen to e3, knight went back to c6, knight d5, but you see this position on d5 can be usually attacked. Knight to e7, knight takes, queen takes, then knight to d2, rook to d6. Now when I first saw this move, I was under the impression that black are going to do rook hd8 and doubling the rooks on d-file. However, black have different idea. c3, knight to e6, knight to b3, and here black played rook a6. Now, I don't think this idea in this particular position is going to work out really well for black. The reason being is that white can simply play king b1, a2 pawn is very well protected, and by far the rook on a6 would have been far better on d6 square. Rook d8, g3, queen d6, and again I would say that this setup with queen on d6, rook on d8 and rook on a6 is probably not the best for blacks. They would have been better off having two rooks on d-file. Knight d2. Anthony, before you make any move, please always check if this move leaves one of your pieces undefended. In this particular case, knight to d2 left d3 pawn undefended. Of course, black have taken pawn on d3, which is undefended. Queen takes d3, rook takes d3, knight to b3, c4, very nice move, protecting the rook on d3 and moving the pawn forward. Rook takes d3, c takes d3. Now that's actually now on d3 is a very strong pawn, and in fact I think already here white have tremendous troubles. Rook to d1, rook to d6, king c1. Now black played c5, obviously with the idea to play c4. However, white are able to prevent this idea from happening, so they played c4. So, in order to actually play c5 and c4, which is a very nice idea, black should have started with a different move. They should have played here b5, covering c4 square first, and then after that they can start moving the pawns onto c5 and c4, protecting the pawn on d3. So instead they played c5, allowing white to play c4. Now this, after white played c4, the pawn on d3 can never be protected by black's pawn. So potentially it can become a weak pawn. b6, king d2. The idea is very simple, to play king e3, then knight to c1, and then the pawn on d3 will become weak. In this position, black could have and should have played knight to g5, attacking the pawn on e4 and pawn on h3. Double attack, black would have won one of these pawns. Instead, they played knight d4, knight to c1, and here you can already see that the pawn on d3 is becoming quite weak because it cannot be protected by other pawns. Knight f3 check, king to e3, d2, white took the knight on f3. They shouldn't have done that. In fact, they should have probably played something like knight to e2, then after that this knight on f3 is under attack, and after that the pawn on d2 is going to be lost. They have decided to trade all the pieces and go into rook endgame, underestimating what black can do in this endgame. Please have a look. King takes f3, d takes c1, rook takes c1. Now we are into rook endgame. At first sight, the position is equal. We have equal amount of pawns. No one has particular advantage at first sight. However, black's move and they play rook to d2. At this position, black have big advantage already due to the rook on d2 being a lot more active than the rook on c1. That's the best position for the rook possible in this structure. The rook from d2 can attack pawn on b2, potentially can also attack pawn on f2. It's super strong here. Nothing can prevent the rook from d2 to attack other white's pawn. So that's basically a basic concept of the endgame, especially of the rook endgame. The rook is very strong on the 2nd and 7th rank. So if you are playing black, the best position for your rook is usually on the 2nd rank. Rook to b1, protecting the pawn on b2. Now another strong move made by black. They played rook to c2, attacking pawn on c4. There's only one way now how white can defend this pawn, and that's the move b3. However, this move leaves a2 pawn undefended. And of course, black took the opportunity and captured the pawn on a2. Rook to d1, occupying now the d file. However, white cannot really use this file as d7 and d8 squares are protected by black's king. So although white's rook is on an active file, it cannot be used to white benefit. Rook to b2, again attacking the pawn on b3. Rook d3, king c7, activating the king. Also another important concept of any endgame, king is a very important piece in the endgame. Please make sure it is active. g4, g5, closing the pawn structure on the king side. Black have done this because they understand that they have advantage on the queen side, and that's where they will start playing very soon. They want to make sure that on the king side everything is closed. There's no open files or possible squares for white's king, so that nothing can stop black from actively playing on the queen side. King to g3, a5, already black, as you can see, started moving the pawns. f3, rook to a2. Now here's another nice maneuver from black. So from rook on b2, they decided to play rook a2, then rook a3, attacking this pawn on b3 and pinning this pawn. After that, the plan is to play a4, and the pawn on b3 is going to be won by black. Let's see how it actually happened. Rook to a2, h4, h6, again eliminating any possible chances for white to actively play on the king side. h5. The position is now, as you can see, completely closed on the king side. Rook to a3, king to f2, and now that move is coming. Obviously, white cannot take the pawn onto a4 because the rook on d3 will become undefended. So they play rook d1, rook takes b3. Black now are 2 pawns up in the endgame and have a winning position. Black were very confident in winning this game. King to e2, king to c6. Again, as I said, very important concept of the endgame. Make sure your king is active. Rook to a1, b5, rook to a2, a3, moving the pawn forward, threatening rook to b2 check. C takes b5, king takes b5, rook to a1, and again king b4, nice move, making sure your king is active. Rook d1, a2, now nothing can stop black's pawn from promoting. Rook a1, king a3, clearly with the idea king to b2 and a1, queen. Rook to d1, rook b1, covering a1 square, rook d3 check, king b4, and let's have a look now. There's no way white can prevent the next move from black, a1 queen. They played rook d8, a1 queen, rook b8 check, king went to c3, rook d8, rook b2 check. Clearly blacks are winning here. King to e3. Here black played queen c1. By the way, queen to e1 would have been a checkmate in one here, but that doesn't matter really because black are winning here anyway. Rook d2 and queen d2 checkmate. As usually, I had a great pleasure reviewing your games. Thank you very much. I will see you next time. Goodbye.